I am going to discuss a very high-level talk on Docker. So it's pretty cool new technology. I'll wait until it starts. All right, so Docker. What is Docker? It is a new version.
Slow is good. Slow is good.
It's a new type of virtualization that I'll get to it. But first, why do you guys care? Why are you going to listen to me drone on about it up here? So I'm going to quickly hit the high points. If you develop an application, if you're deploying multiple applications, if you scale up your app, if you're a hipster hacker. I just read exactly what's on the slide, so I'll try not to do that. But it's pretty much all-encompassing. Docker is a way for people to just build once and deploy anywhere. So why is it better than all the other tools that we have built? So people have learned with Puppet and Chef and everything up there that they like to manage the VMs they build and they deploy when they build applications. A lot of time has gone into building these and a lot of knowledge. So why is Docker better and going to save you a lot of time? It simplifies things. It uses Git-like commands. It took a step back about the technology, the run up on technology. People trying to do better, quicker, more automated things. It just made things more simple and easy to understand. So what is Docker? It is it's a container. Cool stuff. Docker is a container. It's where you can stick all your code. It's utilitarian. It's lightweight because it's saving stuff as files. You don't get the whole bloated object that is a VM. It's very lightweight. It's portable. It can run anywhere because it uses primitives that are built into the Linux kernel. So how does it work? Get all technical, blow your mind. But pretty much everything in the middle is just stuff that has been built in and extended from the Linux kernel. So a lot of people were like, "Hey, we don't need any cool new applications. We're gonna just hard code straight into the kernel." And then people are like, "Yeah, this is really not fun." So what Docker is, a company called .cloud, similar to Heroku. It's a software as a service platform company. They wrote this really cool API around this low-level kernel stuff, which is called LXC, Linux containers. It was included a while back, and it's actually coming to the point now that it's matured enough. It utilizes namespacing and other isolation functionality to make sure that one application can't get access to the other one. It creates a whole new networking and system I/O. So it's pretty much your very own VM shared on a system. But because it's at the kernel level, you don't get the overhead that other current version machines do. Basically, if you can think about it at a very high level, you're just a user on a Linux operating system. You log into SSH into this machine, and then you have your own little user space, but it's on a much lower level and a much broader. You've been using it already if you use Heroku. Heroku developed their own custom software that
they're using Docker, or
they're using the Linux LXC.
Got it.
So we'll get to questions at the end, but if you have any questions, yell at me. I actually enjoy people interrupting me. It breaks my monotonous tone that it's not good. So here we go. Another image. Graphs. Yes. Pretty colors. No, okay. Like I said, on the left you can see is how old VMs are. They have a lot of shared. Thought we had a clicker here.
It's probably inside the.
Yeah, just go over there.
Yeah, that's why I see you go. Use the cursor. Oh yeah.
I have a laser pointer if you want to come down and get it. It's all right.
You can see it on both sides.
Yes. Good. like I said, I just want to give them an overview. The image is kind of this, I believe they have a lot more than going on. As you can see, these applications over here are sharing the same bins and libraries, so you don't have to have duplication, whereas on the other side here, you have in-memory or have deployed duplication of the exact same code, the exact same resources, so it's just super inefficient. So with Docker, it kind of simplifies it all. Containers versus VMs. Again, this is very high level, just going to go through the pros and cons. Containers, because it's a copy on write file system, and it's just using the built-in OS that you're running on top of. You don't have to take the time to spin up a VM and have it deploy and come up live. It takes under 5 seconds to get deployed. It's actually sub-seconds sometimes. Shared resources, VMs, they take an operating system to run an operating system, and you can't really see into that other operating system from your VM, whereas with Docker, because you can go into the root system and then hop into a container, hop out, hop into another one, and check the system, there's a lot more transparency. Smaller sizes, like I said, you're not carrying around that whole virtual OS that you don't need. So it's pretty much diffs between every single different image that you have. So, so primary differences, use deltas. And then, so easily mutable. So for example, if you have an image, and let's say you have 193 Ruby installed on it, but you want to deploy Ruby 2, you can take that image, install Ruby 2 into it, and then you can just you can push that to your index, and you can actually have a brand new VM, a brand new container that has everything that was there before, but you just upgraded to version 2. And then because it's an image, you can then go to other machines and deploy that exact image that you just worked on and built very quickly to bare metal, to Heroku, to DigitalOcean, etc. So it makes the life of the developer and the sysops very easy. So let's get nerdy. I don't think you can see that. But I just pretty much throw up the commands that Docker has here. We're going to get into specifics, but it's mainly 20 commands. Pretty simple. So I just created a quick VM on DigitalOcean, and that's fine. All right. Yeah. So one of the commands that Docker uses is just a pull command. So you say Docker pull, and you say an image, and it goes out and finds that repo and it downloads all the deltas for it. Because I was running, you can go to 13.10. Yeah, you can see that it's just pulling the deltas from it and rebuilding it. And then you can just hop into a VM very easily by just telling Docker to run the command. So say Docker run the container you want, and then the command you want. So pretty powerful. Docker indexes, that's where you store all of these images. You can have public and private, just like Git. You can have publicly facing ones and private ones. The community provides builds for people to, genuine builds that either open source projects push out on an index to say this is our build that everyone uses, and other people say this is a build based on X that I've added all these features to. So it's very easy to go and grab a VM that someone's built that you can use. There's a lot of uses for it that pretty much VMs could have been used before and are being used for, but this is kind of targeting the next level of virtualization. So one of the big ones that I enjoy is automated testing and continuous deployment, integration deployment. Before you had to wait, have a VM fire up, and then it kicks off all your tests. But because containers are just the copy and write, and they're just deltas, as soon as you make a change, the service can automatically kick off and run and let you know if your integration tests have worked or if you broken something. So it makes it a lot easier. And another thing too is that you can build it once and deploy it to like as many different services you want because it's using primitive, very base level Linux. Caveat: this is a very new project. It's going to celebrate a year in a couple of days. Yeah, so they've gone from version 1 to about 7 pretty quick. David will like this. There's 400 open issues, so you can hop in there and get some. Yeah. So, but at the end of the day, for me, I was looking around in the space, and I know I wanted to kind of learn a VM kind of DevOps, skill because I think it's good to know how to fix stuff and build stuff, and kind of got my goat when it was a Git push Roku. I know a lot of people love that, but kind of outsourcing it to the unknown got me. So I looked around, and everyone I read, Docker seemed like you could actually take somewhat. You had the simplicity of Git, but you actually had the power that you could build and customize your own system very easily. So there you go. Here's some resources. And stuff I didn't cover. I just always thought this was always good. And I glossed over a lot of things, and I probably in my nervousness have not said a lot of stuff. But here's some cool stuff that I can actually go over right now because I have a lot of time. But
Or questions?
yeah, do you have any questions?
All right, so you mentioned that you were looking at things like this because you were comfortable with trusting everything to, say, Roku, for example.
It's not so much trust, it's more like, I don't want to pay Heroku, I like getting a little control back.
Okay, so my question though is, so with Heroku, and I know there's a balance you're trading off, but I'd like to find out from you with Docker what some of the equivalent would be. So a single thing is obviously fairly straightforward and simple. So, but when you start getting a little bit more advanced, if I get push Heroku, then I can spin up, it'll spin up a dyno for me, and I have my website running. And then if I want more power, I can just say, give me 3 of those now. What's the equivalent here? Because it's not just as simple as using the same image on 3 servers, because that's not going to just work. So what all do you have to set up in order for that to actually work appropriately and still get the benefit of the ease of Dockerness?
It will work in that you can spin up your image on, let's say, AWS small instance or micro instance, and you can take that same image, deploy it to a huge instance, and then spin down your small instance. And because it's exactly the same image, it's not as easy as plug and play that you can adjust the slider. Or if you deploy it to a service that does have an adjustable slider, but then it's a service.
There's no invisible.
Yeah.
Well, load zones.
Yeah, there's some magic in that.
Well, does Docker,
You have
I
to add
guess,
a load
what kind of things have already been created out there that I can maybe reuse? So can I grab someone's load balancer that they set up and just say, push out a load balancer that I don't have to worry about setting up? And
It's a
then
configuration file where you can inject environment variables into your Docker instance. So
Yes.
if you parameterize your thing with environment variables, you can create things like that. So probably there's
Yeah, you can
there's
layer
probably
stuff.
one like that for load balancer.
because that's what I would like, if I
You
could
can layer
say,
stuff on. You can
Docker,
layer.
pull me down a load balancer, and I'm going to build up my own server, and then I can just push out the pieces. Docker, pull me down a Postgres database.
Yeah, that's
really
built in.
interesting
That is built in.
about Docker is that Docker has registry in that people can publish images that they build along with the Docker file. So let's say you want to deploy MySQL for I don't know why. But you decide I want to switch to MySQL. I don't know why. So all you have to do is a Docker pull the username of the person who created the image / the name of that image. It'll pull it down.
How much time do you have?
I have another question.
Oh, wait, yeah, go. It's much easier. I can handle this.
There's this thing in Linux called like chroot or something. Oh, what's the relationship between Docker and that?
Change root. Very different. So a change root has an inherent security flaw in that you can still have direct access to the resources through the Linux kernel. A Linux container is the goal for it, once it reaches more maturity, we'll know for a fact. But the goal of the project is to be more secure in that you can isolate resources and say, this is how much CPU this process running in this volume is allowed to use. This is the file system that it's locked to. And if a process in this container gets root access, it's not just going to break right out.
Well, right.
Hardwalled versus soft
Yeah.
walls.
Well, actually, LXC there's a project called OpenVZ that's been around for like 8 or so years. It actually is a container that is root safe. Right now, LXC is not root safe. So if you give someone like a root account inside a container, it's not guaranteed to actually be fully secure and virtualized.
Yeah, so best practices is not to use root in your container.
Yeah, I mean, you're supposed to just run one process and not actually allow interactive stuff.
So the Docker containers use the libraries and the kernel from the host operating system, right?
Yes.
So if I upgrade my host operating system, all the virtual environments in the container also automatically get different libraries, correct?
No.
You can,
No, it's based on the face.
No, it's the Docker containers tie into modules in the kernel. So if the kernel upgrades and they add new things, they're available, but you still have to go to your container to pull those up.
oh wait, cool.
I believe so. Anyone else?
I think that sounds right.
Yeah, from reading the
Yeah.
documentation. I've read the documentations, it's just not conveying to you guys the right So
So
here we
a
go.
container is pretty stable by itself, even if the host underneath is upgraded.
Let's see this. Let's see
It
this.
doesn't mean all my servers.
Do they have puppy on here or not?
On David's
Just
computer?
David? No,
This is just the
sorry.
innovation. That's the innovation.
Control plus.
No, it won't work. I think it's too small.
Control plus.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
It's already-
It's built into the.
You tried it already.
It's no locating.
Yeah. Sorry. 20 minutes. I'm trying to get
What
there.
website is this?
This is sorry. This is LearnDoc. This is Doctor's website. We're able to get it. It's true. Take a break early. Doctor's website. I like it's like Redis's website. It comes with a built-in interactive prompt, so you can hop in here and you can bring up, spin down, mess with Docker images and Docker containers and commands right from your browser, and have all the documentation is listed here. So, like, if you have a question about how you have the containers in the kernel, if they can have access to shared libraries, when you upgrade from one to the other, I believe you can, because like I said, the deltas are stored.
And even though it's new, people are using it for production applications. Is that
They are. They shouldn't be, but you know, hipster hackers. They gotta use it. But I mean, from what I've read, it's I don't know. I like it. I mean, I looked at Chef and looked at Puppet, and it's just everyone's kind of going to this, you know.
I use Docker bearing Rails level.
Yeah.
It was awesome. I can roll back the entire operating system.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's the problem with the file system. You get a bunch of stacks on top of each other, and eventually you'll hit a limit with the amount of like OFS.
Oh yeah, 16.
And you can't end up flattening. That's my biggest problem with it. I mean, there are ways to get around it, but then you're essentially just using LXC or whatever underlying container driver yourself at that point. So, it's kind of a trade-off.